Hi there, this is Haley with Bygone Blooms, and in today's video I wanted to give some examples of things that work really well in the cutting garden and also for landscaping for those of you who, like me, are hoping to landscape on a budget and want things that look really nice and divide and grow and are usable year after year, but also you don't want to spend thousands of dollars up front landscaping a new place. So I live in a zone 6B or 7A here in Northwest Arkansas. We have heavy clay soil, lots of rocks, and we have pretty wet springs and falls. We get some snowfall, but it doesn't get too cold here. So my husband and I built our house about 1.5 years ago, and it's really been a great opportunity for me to practice and learn and grow as a gardener. So when we planned our cut flower spaces and our landscaping and everything combined, I knew that most of what I wanted to grow was things that I could cut from and sell and use in my business, but also things that would look really nice in the landscape year after year. So I have a few ways that I have started things in my garden that have really helped for me to be within budget. So the first thing is starting from seed. I've started Yarrow, echinacea, and Balm, lots of things from seed that were fairly easy to start and easily divide and grow really well in our area. Yarrow specifically is one that is a native plant, so the bugs and everybody really like it, and it works really well in our area because you can divide it when it gets too big. You can spread yarrow around even if you just have a little piece of roots. So that has been one that has really helped me to fill in my garden and make it look full and further along than it already is. The next thing that I have done, in addition to starting a whole bunch of things from seeds, is I have gotten a lot of cuttings and things from friends and family members. So I've gotten lots of hostas and daylilies and things like that that are easily dividable. I have sedum that I originally bought 1 or 2 plants at the big box store or at garden centers, and I've divided them over the years just by putting cuttings in water and letting them root and sticking them back in the soil so that I have new clumps every year. That's the kind of thing that I like to do in the fall so that when I take a little piece, it can grow roots over the winter, and then next spring it'll be its own new plant. So one of the things that I also really like to do is plant things from bulbs and bare roots. So I have lots of daffodils. I have about 300 daffodils planted in my landscape. I have some tulips in my landscaping as well, and then I also have about 20 to 25 peonies that I planted bare root. Those are things that would have been about $20+ a piece at the big box store or at a garden center, but because I bought them bare root and I planted them myself in the garden, I was able to get those at a price of like $3 to $4 a piece instead, which is much more affordable. One of the things I've really had to encourage myself with is that because I am in a new garden, it's not going to be perfect right away. So this is hard when you look online and you see things that other people have done that just look so beautiful in people's yards that look like they could be a park or a botanical garden or something that people could tour, and it's hard not to get discouraged, but I'm just trying to remind myself that this is only my first full year in my gardening space. So really it's the second summer that I have to garden. So it's okay if it's not perfect, and I've tried to remind myself that those lovely hedges and full-grown bushes and things like that, they are not like that from the very beginning. So one thing that I've really tried to do is to buy most of my bushes and shrubs at the big box store on sale. So at the end of the season in the summer, when it's leaning toward October and big box stores are planning for Halloween and Christmas and that kind of a thing, things are much cheaper. So I had an idea of the types of size of things that I wanted or the color of things that I wanted, but I really just went into the garden center with an open mind, seeing what was available and what was in my budget, knowing the size and the color, and just being kind of flexible with how things turned out. So the only thing really that I had a big plan for what I wanted to buy, and I knew the exact type of thing that I wanted, was limelight hydrangeas. So I went ahead and got 2 of those. I got them small because it was more affordable, and I'm hoping that they'll continue to grow and look even better year after year. So it is doable to plant your landscaping and to plant a cutting garden at the same time. It is doable to start things from seed and to just go slow, and I'm just really excited to share the journey with you guys and excited for what my garden will look like in the future. Sedum is so awesome for a garden on a budget because you can divide it year after year. It's a succulent that you can break pieces off. You can root it just in the ground after you snap a piece off, or you can root it in water. And I am often able to root sedum from a vase arrangement that I've done. So I'll just leave the sedum in until it starts growing roots in water, and then I pop it back out in the landscape. So my sedum that I have here, I have started from just one tiny plant that was given to me. I have this one right here. That one right there, and that one. All three are looking really lovely. They're the biggest one is almost, I'd say, about 2 feet wide. The smaller ones are around 1 foot, and they are just looking so nice, and they all came from one tiny little piece that I broke off. Here are some more pieces of that sedum that I divided on the east side of our garden. There are about 5 clumps of it over here on the west side of the front north flower bed as well. Here is another sedum, and this one was given to me by a friend, and in the same way that I have divided my more bluer toned sedum, I've divided this one into 3 clumps as well. I like to have odd numbers in the garden so that it looks a little bit less matchy-matchy. So this sedum again is beautiful too, and just like the other one, I've easily rooted it in water or just stuck pieces of it into the ground that I break off. And because it's a succulent, it grows roots really quickly, and it doesn't need a ton of water, it doesn't mind the heat and sun, and it blooms really beautifully every year. I started this bee balm from seed before we moved into our house, and I brought it with me. It was one tiny little piece that I had grown from seed. It really looked like nothing. Last year it filled in a little bit, and it was just kind of one plant, but this year you can see it has spread. So I would recommend bee balm if you're looking to fill in a garden space, but if you want a tidy space, bee balm is not for you. However, it has worked really well for me in cut arrangements. It lasts fairly long in the vase, about 5 days at least, and it's nice when there's not much else blooming. I grew this yarrow from seed, and I started my first couple of seedlings a couple of years ago as we were building our house, and I brought them with me. When I first planted them, they looked a little bit more like this patch in the back, just kind of small, not a whole lot going on, like that patch over there maybe too. But now that it is going, this is year 2 yarrow. It's already about 1 foot across, and I would say probably 8 inches tall, and it's going to bloom so amazingly. Yarrow is something that blooms on its first year as well. So it is definitely something that I would recommend. It's fairly easy to grow from seed. I use the Colorado yarrow, which also is native in our area. So the insects and the bees and everybody loves it. It blooms really nice, and I like to use it in the vase and also in dried arrangements. And it takes up a lot of space in the garden. It's filling up my space. It likes to spread and is easy to divide as well. One thing that you can grow from cuttings, or I guess from divisions, and is really easy to divide and give to others or spread around in your garden is hostas. So I have a whole lot of hostas, and I hardly paid for any of them. And my grandma gave me some, one of my coworkers gave me some. So hostas are something that as they grow, they naturally need to be divided. And you can even tell with this one that they come up, just one clump of hostas, they come up in different spots. So the roots of this hosta are attached to each other. However, you can easily get your shovel in between there and cut off a piece. And as long as you have a little piece of roots, you are able to go ahead and divide those, and you can spread your hostas around your garden, or maybe give them to a friend. So I would not divide a hosta that's this small. Here's my hand for reference. So it's only about the size of my hand. However, if you have a hosta that's really large, or you know someone who has really big hostas, it will benefit them from dividing them so that they have extra root space to keep growing. Euonymus is one that you can also grow more of through cuttings. It will dip its branches down to the ground and grow roots along the branches that are touching the soil, and then you can also grow it just by sticking it into water. So you can do rooting hormone and stick it into soil, or you can just put it in water and let it grow roots. And my Euonymus has really surprised me this year because it is so bright yellow in the spring. When I originally got it, it was later in the season because it was on sale, and it really, the leaves looked more like this. So not ugly or anything, but just not as striking as this bright yellow has been after winter. Next up on the north side of our garden, just in front of one of these beautiful daylilies, is some lamb's ear. This is something that I bought years and years ago, and I took it with me when we lived in our first house. I took some with me and planted it in pots during our transition while we were building this current house, and then also I was able to revive that and bring it with me here. So lamb's ear is something that readily divides, it grows, it spreads, and this is really only its first full year because it was just a cutting when I brought it here, but I've shared my lamb's ear from my original plant that I got about 5 years ago with many people, and I even had enough to bring here with me to our new property. One thing that I've been surprised by is this sea of gold juniper. It says on the tag that it'll get about 4 feet wide and 3 feet tall. I know that it takes junipers a really long time to grow. This one is only maybe 18 inches wide so far. However, the new growth is bright green and it almost looks like those fiber optic type grasses. It's really beautiful and adds such color and interest in the winter garden. And as things are waking up around it, it just is such a great contrast. The next thing that I've been really surprised by is this Nepeta, and it's something that stayed green almost all winter, and the bees love the purple blooms in the summertime, and it has stayed really nice all winter, and it is just such a bright spot in the garden as not much is going on. This is in full glory. It just looks really beautiful with all the green in contrast to the brown soil and the dark winter. So this Nepeta has really been a showstopper, and it looks even more amazing in the summer. I'm really enjoying this Japanese maple this spring. It's looking so lovely, and it helps that we've had such a light spring so that it's not hasn't been shocked by the snow or anything yet. So hopefully that'll hold off and it'll be okay. We have had some hard freezes, so it's still doing okay through that. So I think it'll be okay. One thing I do need to do though this year is move this Japanese maple. It gets more sun than I thought, and that's something that I found when you're working on a property that's new to you, especially since we built our house. This was just a field before. I wasn't really sure what the light would do, but now that I know I need to move this Japanese maple so that the leaves don't get burned in the summertime. However, it's really looking nice so far. I planted this Columbine from bare root. I planted it last fall, so it's been in the ground about 1.5 years, and the first year it just barely sprouted. It didn't do a ton, but over the winter it really looked beautiful. It stayed green almost all winter and just low to the ground, and it really has blossomed. Not, I guess literally, it does not have actual blooms on it, but it really is looking nice now that it's gotten a little bit warmer for spring. We've had such a mild spring, really a mild winter, so it has really done well, and I'm excited to see it bloom. Thank you so much for growing with me. I'll see you guys in the next one.